baby okra or your board chairman ema enyumakuo bi any board member ema enyumakuo bi num na de enenti ye pese ne bo mpuni mpono se ye hwe ni preaching no a eni se de wa be kan alliance efoyi ehui alliance no wo mo butaye pa ne sen amanyosem no wo mu yo na asori nso be ya amanyosem ana ya na ye hu ni se da bi asori nya asori on preach gospel na amanyofo nso nya amanyofo. In fact ebi no more perception kra say Ghana no wuntumi nye Kristo ni kroje nya amanyosem aden ase wo cheda edimi ni no kre bi sa 2020 yehu se chirabosom gum ebaye no yesofo ya omgina se wono nko an wom se wan form alliance bi ade but ya nheda nso enhu ni modern mo sa although place third no na wo hwe madodo ni percentage wise na wo enya 1% kra enu achi no ye nheda hu na ahokeka no sa ebiemti de ben sesaye in a bid for a third fourth among force about fourth republic. It's been over 32 years and ade bia NDC MPP enti duopoly we ba no okọ na we yaba we ba no okọ na we yaba enti say ye hwehwe another force asori no be another force na obeja asori ni wo na waba no aba be ya manyosem atemdidie kasahyew buonim ni sa kasa no ni ade no asafo betumi de aba be ya manyosem ana ni nyina ho nkomonti na anopai ye ne Bishop Dr. Samuel Noy Mensah ebo empui mamefa caveat nto se ne de eni agise na kofi domme this way no adaka ba kokobra Adams so koji this way adaka ba kobreme na Cassandra ni Mr. Danso koji special grapes na me pe koji enu nso katin be yedu na me boni say ya eni na me dia rebrofo kakra me rebrofo sa acha papa I'm say Dr. Kumbo ne speaker right honorable Bagme mo abere so a me ye o mu interview na eni rebrofo no but enen so aba ne santi ene de be ye ni say ye kan brofo no a na machechire mu twi mikosa ne de mebusa ne twi enti se baby esem kan brofo no so ade be man komo na ye kama no na ye wia na se sofu yi ano a na machechire mu amamo mo mfa nche yi sanse enwome date ni wura no etwase wo no a ena esi eni no edisa nkomo yi enti ena mano ababe puto amaye mame na kuyaski sase wo atade a wo pam ma mi wani age ho wo kanfo mi wo fia mpacho frekuyaski wo 020 8364729 020-836-4729 na eyechenu so de ne wa wani etua Nails and Beauty the hair mama or Spinkters Kotobabi Eco Bank echi ho ape fefefe na ode ashow kama papa ebechenso obefre no 05538372001 ya me ya duma ochena ewo Akramo Good Park hono no yese fe kese bi be koso nti mo aya na mubusa me ya na battery diffusers no afi bi mabie battery diffuser pa church na constant P24 ne battery diffusers ahodo ne cloud humidifiers any fragrances perfumes ahodo a battery diffusers for na kofa no enyasem ke20 echina bomodia se obehia me ho me akasa kra no me constant so na makoto ade kakra kai se a Good Parker eben Akramo no stand P24 ho na battery diffusers team no bewo obefre no 054 071 5685 so you phone de ya monko ba ya ho TBG Kete Mall ewo Abisima Alaska Junction na munko ye nkwala ne shopping why na nse o de mpanyin de kra kakra nso aba uhu sa asafu praise him
hallelujah
nyame asomdwe nkan
yedase
ti amam for mo say twi ne de ne ebe yedwe papa was that you teaching there?
Yes indeed, because I was the one preaching because I strongly believe in social transformation of the individual. Okay. And I believe that without that, society can get better. So okay. I was the one speaking on that.
Okay. And you still stand by that?
Absolutely, Nanaya. I have been preaching for the past 10-15 years on national issues, national transformation. And okay. over the many years, I have called for what I call the end of the duopoly, the NPP NDC. It's on record that I have called for the third force about 7 years ago. It's on record that I said Ghana wasn't going to go anywhere. We wouldn't make any impact until we end this duopoly. So what we are seeing today is as a result of what I have been preaching and talking about for the past 7 years of the call for the end of the duopoly and the call for a third force. So for me, it's an answer to prayers.
Have you been desiring to be a politician?
Not necessarily, but to be...
Not necessarily, but sort of.
A statesman. I am a statesman who speaks on issues of national development. And that is what some few business for professional groupings and recent parties that have been formed have approached me if I could present myself as a president, you know, be on their ticket. But I said, if I accepted that, I wouldn't be able to influence and facilitate the process of the alliance movement. You see, because when they see me as a pastor, as a statesman, they can trust what I will be saying. But if I accept to be on a ticket, then no one will want to come and join me. So I will rather forego that and encourage people to build a greater third force as an alternative. So that is why I am standing on that principle.
I see. So if you just oppose that to your current status as an executive member of this Alliance for Revolutionary Change, how then do you place that? Because you say, I would want to stay back and encourage people. And then at one point, you've become an executive member of this force we are talking about.
The Alliance for Revolutionary Change is not a political party. It's a movement for change. It's a third force that wants to bring a change through an independent candidate.
Not to cut you short, but eventually it would take power and it will directly or indirectly become a political party.
That will be after 2024.
Okay.
After 2024, we will now know exactly the nature of things, the nature of the movement, how it will look like.
Oh, I
see.
How
it will look like.
So it means that this alliance is not well thought through.
No, it's been well thought through.
Then we should know our roadmap. But you are saying that after 2024, then we'll get to know whether it's becoming a political party or it's staying as a movement.
Look, for now, it is a movement to ensure to promote an independent presidential candidate in the person of Alan Kojo Trematin, and also to win that independent space. Okay. So that the focus is 2024. After 2024, that will be a different thing. But the focus is 2024. And it is a matter of maturing the forces together to be able to displace the duopoly. That is what the alliance stands for.
Okay, I'll come back to that. Sorry. Pacho, masere mo se ne de mo ma yem puto kakra. Na won si ebo teaching bi a na so preach wa sorry dem bishop e preach wa sorry dem o kan se wo ye mampani anyame nkokran hye o ma wo be san LGBTQ emra no na wo meye te se nyame me kwa sorry na nso na woni ye nche se o kwa sorry ni ade tie no na mbisa ne se so wo na wo preach no wo se an no on de obi onim ni bia nim se be se mfie nsu ni de ni preaching no e fa o man puntu ho national development nko anti sa na o preach ye na mse oh, I didn't do no cry no. Some few preaching ya or preaching so national development. What council say? And this MPP no aye kwajo kona ataba. And this kona MPP aba. Enti anu so obi onim ni bia nim se waka wa ye ho kyerɛkyerɛ aka ho asɛm sɛ ɛsɛ sɛ yenya third force bi. Enti o kra ya ebi mu so ben no o meka ye ho o meka ye enu no bisan sɛ opa manyonsɛm kakra. Enu si o enya ne sa ho ono de on hyeda mpe na mse on hyeda mpe but unya wo pe kakra eno osi o de bi na nso oye wo pani owo man mu asem hia no oye statesman nti ese se wo pa asem ehwe eni ti no preach a o preach fa sa kwan so nti sa alliance ya be yo mo be approach no no na ye pa na mse alliance de ene ese ne na amanyosem mu na wawura yi o no osi debi enya amanyokuo Alliance for Revolutionary Change, you know. Womu botaye ni se wonum ya movement. Na movement no ni se womu hwe se owura alanchematen ebeba abeye mampeni ewo afia ba ye betunim no. Nti se womu wie a 2024 na fe na ne womu behu se ebeye political party ARC no, Alliance for Revolutionary Change, you know, eba abeye amanyukuo ananso se enye amanyukuo. So, Bishop, what do you make of people that say that let the politicians be politicians and let the pastors be pastors? Let them preach the gospel. Christ loves you, Christ died for you, and let the politicians manage the affairs of the state.
Nanaya, there is difference between partisan politics and politics. Politics determine where you will be born. Politics determine the school you will attend, the kind of education you will have. Politics determine the kind of employment and work you will have. Politics determine how your marriage life and family life can be programmed. Politics determine your career development pattern. Politics also determine your pension program in future after 60, 70 years. As a matter of fact, Nanaya, politics will even determine where you can be buried. So if you are a social human being, an individual, and you say you don't care about politics, then it means you don't care about the children you will bring forth. You don't care the kind of education they will have. You don't care the kind of employment and work you would have. You don't care your future and your pension program. So politics is about politics cover from the cradle to the grave, but there is difference between partisan politics and politics. So every true Christian, every true citizen must be interested in politics, but not partisan politics.
But in our part of the world, there is only a thin line between these two. The difference is that minute. And so you being a whole bishop, most reverend, and over so many years, now people seeing you in limelight, pushing for a third, fourth, and I guess we'll get there, you'll be campaigning, or I don't even know how you are going to lead your members, because in your church, you will have people belonging to different political parties or different fraternities. How you be able to unite them and lead them as church. And so it's a bit of a difficult thing striking the difference.
I think we need to strike the big, it's just a big difference. Majority of people are frustrated about the state of our country.
Okay.
They are depressed, they are losing hope. We know we are sinking deep. And if we all sit on the fence and do nothing, at the end of the day, what kind of Ghana can you bequeath to your children or grandchildren? It is for this reason we must all come together and rescue our country called Ghana. And that is different from partisan politics. The partisan politics have brought us to this detriment where we find ourselves. The MPP, NDC, which hasn't brought any significant change in our lives. 32 years have been the game between MPP and NDC. And you and I know that we haven't made any significant progress, because when NPP is in power, NDC would want the MPP to fail. When NDC is in power, and the MPP will want NDC to fail. At the end of the day, it is Ghana that is suffering. And so we need true Ghanaians who are tired and exhausted about these partisan politics to come together, rescue our country. And that is what any true Ghanaian, patriotic Ghanaian would want to stand for. And that is what Christians will also want to stand for. So it has nothing to do with a political party. I keep making things very clear. It's a movement for change. We all want to come together to rescue Ghana. We can't sit down and allow those who call themselves the politicians within the NDC and NPP to lead this Ghana, to lead the country into destruction. We must rescue the nation. If you are a true patriotic
it's the nation in destruction.
It is a nation in destruction.
What shows?
What shows?
Yes.
Everything around us is showing. The next 10 years, your children would buy water according to the Ghana Water Company, because we've destroyed our water bodies.
That's not the fault of the politician. We all are part and we are to be responsible.
Absolutely. But again, everything rises and falls on leadership. I am a leadership expert. I teach and preach and have written books on leadership. Leadership must set the pace. Leadership must provide the real guidelines. And so if
you think leadership has failed us,
absolute failure of leadership,
or as people say, in this Fourth Republic.
In this Fourth Republic, we are experiencing a failed leadership. Because leadership must provide the guidance. This is where we are going. A leadership that will punish the wrong, that will reward right doing, a leadership that will fight corruption, a leadership that will hold people responsible, a leadership that will provide a vision that this is where the nation is going. If I should ask any politician, Nanaya, in the next 20 years, where would Ghana be? They have no clue. Go to the Jubilee House. Ask Nanadu, His Excellency, in the next 20 years, where would Ghana be? Those who are vying for political office, Baumia and Co., ask them in the next 20 years, where would Ghana be? There is a nation without vision.
One would say that you are putting all the blame or the cards on leadership. Is that to say citizens don't have any responsibility? Because you are in church for the past 7 years, you've been preaching about national development. Don't citizens have roles to play? Since you've been preaching about national development, what change have you seen in your members?
Absolutely, I agree with you. Citizens have a responsibility. Our responsibility is not just to get up in the morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., queue, and go and vote and go to sleep. Unfortunately, that is what has been the pattern. That is why in the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, there is a need for, it stands for there is a need for attitudinal change, attitudinal transformation. If people will not change their attitude, there is nothing you can do. You can't succeed. Let me give you an example.
Then if people will not change, we can't blame the partisan leaders.
No, it is dual responsibility. Okay? Now, Jesus came from Nazareth. The Bible tells us in his own hometown, he couldn't succeed well. Why? Because of the attitude of the people. Attitude is everything. So if you don't get the attitude right, you can come in as an angel. It will be very difficult to achieve your goals. So that the problem we have,
per this your analogy, per this your analogy, it therefore means that this ARC can come to power and will still not succeed and will behave like NDC MPP because the people may not have attitudinal change.
No, under the ARC, one of the pillars of the ARC is to bring attitudinal change. It's part of things I have preached over the many years. When the attitude is, people's attitude are transformed, you know what? It leads to national values. Today, there is no set of values. If I ask you, you and I, we sit down, what are some of our national values? We can't outline what we call our national values. Nations that have developed because they have a set of national values that drives them. With the national values, you can achieve your goal. Whilst coming this morning, I read on the news, I think one of the Arab nations have suspended one media station. They said because they violated their national values. You see, so when there is a national values that change our attitude, we can accelerate, there will be growth in development. So it is leadership responsibility to ensure there is an attitudinal change. And that is what the Alliance for Revolutionary Change is there for, to ensure, to embark on the principle of attitudinal change. And
but Bishop, do you really think that we needed to have a movement before we can go about talking about attitudinal change? Couldn't you have preferred these beautiful ideas you have to the politicians? We have NDPC, we have NCCE, that this is my idea. Or I'm sure sometimes the clergy too, you have opportunity of meeting political leaders. Couldn't you have suggested this? But just to form a movement before we can see that we are having some sort of attitudinal change, or preach about attitudinal change.
Nanaya, I have a document for the past 10 years. I have suggested to the NDC government, I've suggested to the NPP government about the need for attitudinal change. I came up with about a 7-year socio-cultural transformation. I called it the socio-cultural transformation of attitudinal change. And that is what we said when it is launched. You know, you will bring in both traditional leaders, religious leaders, because you can go to the remotest part of the village. You may not find a clinic or a hospital. You may probably not find a school, but there are two major institutions you will find, Anaya. You will find a mosque or a church and a chief. These people are managing people on a regular basis.
Okay.
We need them in the part of socio-cultural transformation. Okay. For example, if we develop this socio-cultural transformation, bring all the chiefs and the National House of Chiefs together, ask them to identify cultural practices that inhibits our national development, cultural practices that haven't helped us to develop. They themselves can come up with these cultural practices, and then they will provide leadership to be able to put an end to these cultural practices that haven't helped us. They will also, with them and the religious leaders, develop national values that will drive us. Then you go back to kindergarten. You have a blueprint, a booklet on it. Then from kindergarten, we begin teaching these attitudinal change and national values. By the next 20 years, we will produce the new Ghanaian with this new attitude and new transformation. The journey of 1,000 miles starts...
Bishop, that by the next 20 years, and at most, if Movement for Change or ARC is to come to power in during the next election, that's January next year, they have a maximum mandate of 8 years.
Yeah.
So if it's 20 years, we are going to realize it. Have you thought about it that after the 8 years, all these ideas, maybe we'll just go back to collect dust in the books?
It will be collectively there will be collective ownership. It would be policies that will no more become a policy of a ruling government, but a policy of the nation.
How is that going to be? Because we know in this Fourth Republic, government has come, government has left power, but projects that have begun have not been continued. And for that reason, we have NDPC, every government will come and then we'll draw a new development plan and then we'll not work with it.
It is because of the kind of leadership we have. You know, vision starts with an individual, but vision must end with the people. So when you come up with a vision, and the NPP at the NDC, they came up with a 40-year development plan. But when they developed it, they didn't include other political parties like the NPP and other stakeholders. It was their own plan. So when NPP came into power, they threw it away, and then they came up with Ghana Beyond Aid. And literally, Ghana Beyond Aid is part of like a description of the 40-year development plan. But whichever government, if NPP should come again, for God forbid, but the point is that they will throw it away. If you develop a national vision, it must consist of all political parties, all stakeholders. They must agree that in the next 30 years, this is where we are going. Then go to Parliament, have a law to bind, to enact a law that will regulate this national vision. Then the point is that any president who comes into government for 4 years, you will ask yourself which part of the national vision you would like to focus on, because you can't do everything. So if you focus on agriculture for 4 years, you'll be driving it. If you are focusing on part of education,
are we going to make that national vision plan a compulsory thing, or is it going to be bound by law? Because if the government of the day is not bound by any law to go by that vision or to go by that plan, they will as well choose not to go by that plan.
That is why we say that under the ARC, there would be a law that would be passed that would bind the direction that in the next whatever, if it's 20 years vision, this is where Ghana is going. within 4 years you can achieve all. So when you come into office, which part of that vision you would like to drive it? Then when someone comes, he will also focus on either he's building on it or which other part of that vision. And then by 20 years, if we each government for 4 years work towards it, by 20 years we will all arrive at that destination.
I think I'm enjoying the conversation too much. I'm leaving my viewers behind. So then I'll come back to ask you about Parliament in getting the law passed, because look at the hung parliament we have now and what the government is facing, especially when we're passing e-levy and some other laws. The government has had its fair share of challenges. So if you're going to have a parliament that is full of MPP, NDC, and you want them to pass such a law, have you thought of it? Pacho de maminche mukakransa pamucho mufanche me komono aye midama ya rebrofu na kwachi pam na mibusa bishop se obi busa se anaya na ebi kasa asofo mu nkanya me asem mamu fa mo for ya amanyofo efri se mo sorry man woni me amanyoku a obi dom enti se net se bishop panyi Mensah yi nanim se movement for ARC the Alliance for Revolutionary Change Nincrofoɔ bɛka sɛ papa woyɛ amanyɔsɛm nti wobɛden di anim ni ade ɔbɛ no si debi ɛsɛ sɛ yɛte aseɛ sɛ yɛka sɛ politics nko ɛna partisan politics enko na politics ene be kire suku sem wadwuma sem wabusua wawade wo pension de ubedie de ube cheche se nyame to nsafro kra kwan be fa so ye be kraw ene ye be hwe wachi ni nyina politics ene be kire se woni a se media me politics a ene na che se wo mpe wo da achi yie wonwe wo ma ho se wo ma wo be wo mo no omo suku ko omo daachen etesen nti ya mem ye nka se politics nko na ma ye nka se ni nyina ye pe ensunsunye dem na sunsunye dem na so ye ha ne de ye hunu se ya de baako se we na mu kan brofo partisan politics nko na politics nko no si ya ensunsunye wom eche se wo wani abre se me pe o manye me pe se ensesaye ba no nche se chinchin ache yi se wo amanyokuo mu nti no se woni amanyokuo mu na so wo hwe movement for change no a ebetumi de ensesaye aba na ye ba fourth republic yi de empani edi omafo ni hwamo pa ase emabuna ni da so apem wo bia boto amanfo aye basa niema nkoye ma wo mo enti se basa se se ye boa hye wo mu nkranua wonu munya ni da so na mse na enu no sa na empani ni enkwa no se ono yo chirechire ni a wo chira de fa mpanini hu fa kese no a na ni gina mpanini esu so nya mpanini pa ubenya se chidifo no so bedi so na msi sofo se saade a ene na che se monso mo ba na chidifo no ani so a na monso mo anya mpanini pa efise ebi o ha paninu be ye de obeye bia na nso nipa na wudi nanim no woni wafutuo so woni woncheche so na o se hin ya ade bi won so aye friend se yes san ye suban ni ye attitudinal enti se wo hwe wo mo alliance ya na se revolution ya wo mo sesi ya movement no a wo ma ni so adu kese ba ko pa ni se wo mo be boa abodaru asia ye nkyerechire asesa Ghana for ya dwen yensu ye ban ni ye ni ye no nam se no sa no mo be ye ne dan fi se wa chase preach ade ya mfie nso nie wa hu sisan ebi wa sore mamu eno se ania se wo kire sa ania mani nyina wi a wo mpani no na wo nso be twasa no na wo chidifo no nso adisa no a wo twa ne so na wo nkokire nwie na wo nkote na ye de ehu oni se asempani no wo mate wo no wo yi wo de na chidifo no so yi wo de na meka se se ye sa de ankafa nsusu ye ne ma na wo se ha ya ma nsusu amo attitudinal change say ye kire Ghana for sesan usuban yo man papa ye say na emwa wo na pani so fa ne de nko say NDC was so cram me tron man ye said ye tremu tieni de ma wo mo ankosi aga enti na me hu ni se movement for change de bebo na hwe NDPC ba ye NDC said ye omo ye no wo ma afo obi a meka ho ti MPP ba no se ye be ye de ye be Ghana beyond 8 Ghana ye nkola la sulala enso kura no kura wo hwe ti said ye na wo dada no a enu so no no hye dan fa Ghana fo dodo na enwura mu enti movement fo no de ye freeway akuakuo ni nyina se unim say ne pese ye no ne nananom ahemfo agidi ku ahodo mpanimfo mo nkyira ye niema ben sa say amamre bia ye hene kan ye hye de hene de ye konkan ye mfanye ne sen enti wo mo ka ho no wo mo kyira wo madwen sa na ne aye boa baako ne ye nyina ye kuramu ti anya hwe no fie be se aduanu de ye boda wuro sense san ya ye be hu sense na say hey papa ARC so onya bampa hu e ben fie nwotwe na sahabere no ube then also cancer 20 years ye be hu sense no say oh si ya si obi sha se enchese ne ye ja ne ho ye sha se na afei di obeba no so aba beto asnam Ghana papa wo ha NDC ba wo be ye ne de wo kwa MPP ba wo nto aso MPP so ba obeye ne de wo kwa NDC ba wo nto aso no se there bi movement fo we no de wana say revolution fo we no de ne de eye revolution tin revolution no che say ye be ye no se eye nhye ye be ye mra na wo ba unni ho kwan ya na unya kwan bi amfa bibia anyi hu anu say me de nko me de wani so ado se there bi say ye nyina ya te ase na ya boaboa ye ho ano na ya dwen akọ benkrom ni aka se oh we ni kwan a ye ni kire so no ene wo ya manwekuo wo ba na ye panin fofora wo be ba na ye hwemmomanim de he na wo pese wo ye na wa fa na wo de no nante ni ehu sa ampa ye ni so ade hunu no wo wa fa mu baako saa nkakra saa nam si okay emra asem na wo kan dia o ma me mekire mu nwie na wi mabuza ne se Ghana hwe ne parliament ye wo ho ya achepe emu apaya wo mutu ni din se hang parliament ni eni se be boa pa ba te duru ba bi aban ne bre free se emra bi o es wo mo ehwe ema eba mu a aban no ni numbers no nti wo ye den ema emra ibam ti se 11 hwe bra wo no bra ye twefa wo mo boa ti se mo so mo ba mo mu nya manyokuo enti bi NDC MPP fo ya na be parliament wo ma se be mo ko famra bi se ba mo ba gi adi se wo no mbesom aka se ane yanyintum. Bishop, I'm sure you got that question.
Absolutely. Yes. The point is, you see, the president will have an executive power. And with that executive power, will provide the leadership why there should be a national development plan. Because he will push for it. Then the other thing we should understand is that Ghanaians will now be encouraged, citizens, to demand on their parliamentarians that they should support the need for attitudinal change, and then they should also support the changes that we want to see. That is the reason why we have the challenges of the duopoly, because the NPP or NDC, the issues is not about Ghana. It's not about Ghana first. It's not about putting Ghana and the people in the center of development. So the call for Ghanaians is to influence Parliament to work for Ghana. Parliament must work for Ghana. Unfortunately, Parliament is literally working for their party. Current Parliament is working for MPP. If NDC was there, Parliament is working for NDC. Parliament must work for Ghana. Citizens are too relaxed.
I'm sorry, my bishop, but the Parliament you will have will be still the old Parliament we know. Old Parliament, by that I mean NPP, NDC Parliament. That mentality. Or you're going to work on that attitude now?
There is going to be opportunity for independent parliamentary candidates in some selected areas under the ARC.
But that is no news because it's been in existence all this while.
But it's going to be trumpeted with the way that perhaps they will be able to get about 4 or 5 independent candidates. Once they get in there with the new parliamentary procedures and laws, now they can decide which side they can support. But they will always support things about Ghana. If the discussion is about the interest of Ghana and it is probably being espoused by NPP group, they will support it. If it is being espoused by NDC group, they will support, because it will be about
Bishop,
Ghana.
What you haven't considered is when you get to Parliament and you say, I'm aligning to left, you are aligning to left. So if you are supporting, you sit with the majority, you are sitting with the majority. You are agreeing with the majority.
But being independent the person can make an independent decision. Independent decision. So with that, they can push for the policies that will promote Ghana, that would be in the interest of Ghana and about the people. So that is how an executive president can achieve that dream of the attitudinal change. And the attitudinal change will have to be
but
back
have you
under...
also considered the Constitution gives the president so much power?
Yeah.
And Bishop, you teach leadership. You know, power, like we say in our local parlance, power is sweet. So the executive president gets there and looks like, wow, I mean, let it remain as it is. Because over the years, we heard of candidates who campaign. So when I come, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. They get there and then they leave it as it is because they realize that
they love it.
They love it. Thank you. So for all you know, we are pushing for a change. The person gets there. Now he is the president. It's not like a leader of a movement or a leader of a group you used to know. And you talk to him, it's like, look, I am the president. I've been given the mandate. So we may have had a discussion on the side, but now I'm on the high throne, so you can't dictate for me. I will not go by these beautiful ideas you are expounding. It
depends upon the character of the person. It depends upon the persona of the person. You see, under ARC, our focus is constitutional reform. The biggest enemy that has become to our progress is our constitution. The kind of constitution we have hasn't really produced. You see, the constitution assumed that the one who will sit in the presidency is an angel. He's a nice guy. He is a great person. He's thinking about everybody. So that's how the constitution assumed that, they will do things with a genuine motive, with a genuine heart, a sincere. The constitution assumed that it will be like a nice guy, an angel who will really get things done. Unfortunately, the constitution forgot to recognize that it's a human being, and human being is prone to doing all kinds of things. So that is why the constitution hasn't delivered to us the kind of Ghana we want and we desire.
So
that is why
should the ARC come to power, are we going to see a constitutional amendment?
Absolutely, constitutional reform. Constitutional reform. So that this winner takes all will belong to the thing of the past. And then give everybody an opportunity. You don't need to be a card-bearing person to gain employment or get a contract. You don't need to be a party person to gain employment or get a contract. If you're a Ghanaian, you are competent enough, and then you can get a job done, you should be given the opportunity. So that will be part of the constitutional reform, to give everybody equal chance to be able to thrive and excel in the Ghana we desire. But it's not
in the constitution that you need to be a card-bearing member of a party before you can get a job. In fact, the constitution even frowns on that.
But the people who drive and implement the things of the constitution have become partisanship. To the extent that if you are not part of us, then you are not part of Ghana. So unfortunately, I said the constitution assumed that the one who would be driving the seat of government would be perhaps, a nice guy, a lovely person, who would make sure that he would truly be a president for all. But unfortunately, they are not president for all. And when they
are not president for all. That they will be president for all.
They have not been president for all.
That I'm a president for all.
That is a storytelling. He hasn't been the president for all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to the voter region to say that, you people didn't vote for me, but I'm here to provide you the necessary support. What have you? True presidents don't speak like that. True presidents don't talk like that. Let me say, patriotic presidents don't speak like that. Unfortunately, we don't have patriotic presidents.
Over the years,
over the period that we have been suffering. And under the ARC, we want a patriotic president, and that is what we have seen in the person we have endorsed as Alan Kojo Tremantin, that someone who will provide competent leadership, visionary leadership, accountable leadership, people-centered leadership, that will bring the necessary change that we desire.
So someone says I should ask you that, how are you going to work with the NDPC, like I said, because they are mandated by law to plan for the development of Ghana?
Well, once you work towards constitutional reform, the development of a vision, first of all, bring all stakeholders together, get them into a conference room, and all stakeholders, all political parties, trade unions, professional groups, religious organizations, traditional leaders, bring all of them and then into a conference to develop a blueprint and a vision that will take Ghana to the next 20 years. So once they do that, okay, then that is when Parliament will enact a law that will bind everybody who will work with it, whether they come into government today or tomorrow. So that is how the NDPC will begin to function effectively.
Do I get the impression that then you will put aside the work that NDPC has done over the years, and then we'll have to have a new work done?
Not necessarily, because all this work you will consolidate up, because once you have all these political parties there, they will also come with their manifestos over the years. Okay, and the things that NDC has done, the 40-year development plan, the Ghana beyond it, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Everything is about Ghana. So let's now consolidate everything together. And then once we consolidate, we will now find out, okay, how do we now take ownership of it? So that is why you must build a consensus. Stakeholders must take ownership. So we are not going to throw that away, but rather bring everything together. Now let's look at how these ideas can be consolidated, and then we know that in the next 20 years, this is the kind of Ghana. But there are no
more individual ideas. They've been consolidated already, like you said.
Yeah.
During the tenure of NDC, we had a plan, 40-year development plan. It went. The commission went about collecting the ideas and put them together, and yet we didn't have this regime work with it. This regime also came up with another, which is the Ghana Beyond Aid. So it's not as though they are in single ideas or separate ideas. They've been put together.
The point is that they've been put together, but it was an NDC 40-year development plan. It was not a Ghana development plan.
Okay.
It was not Ghana 40 years development plan. The Ghana Beyond Aid is an MPP agenda, not Ghana agenda. Because see,
what makes you say so?
Because listen, being a leadership expert in these areas, when you develop the best friend of a leader is vision. Leaders have two best friends. The first best friend of a leader is problem solving. The first best friend of a leader is vision. The second best friend of a leader is problem solving. And if you develop a vision that should be people's oriented, people should buy into the vision, they must take ownership. You don't just work with a group and ignore the rest. Unfortunately, these lofty ideas by the political parties ignore the rest of the people. Okay? And when you do that, you can't succeed. It's not going to work. You must have a vision that people will buy into it. It must be collectively owned by everybody. And unfortunately, leadership has failed over the years to get everybody on board that, hey, this is our national dream and this is where we are all going.
To get everybody on board, my understanding is to get majority of the people. Because obviously there's no way you're going to get every single individual in Ghana supporting. And to the best of my knowledge, I may be wrong though, before they come up with these development plan, they meet the stakeholders, as they call them. So in a way, or to an extent, that's everybody there.
No, they meet some stakeholders, but you see, when a particular party, A or NPP, comes into government, it is their blueprint. It is not Ghana's blueprint.
Okay. So it is based on their ideologies.
Yes.
Okay.
And what they want to do.
Okay.
But this national vision we are talking about, bring everybody, bring the NPP, NDCPs, XYZ, what have you, all stakeholders together.
Will they come?
They will. They will.
Okay.
Depending upon the kind of leadership you offer, they will.
Okay.
If they see themselves as true Ghanaians, they will.
Knowing very well where Alan Chemanting, the leader of this ARC, is coming from.
They will. I guarantee you.
NPP will gladly come.
They will. Depending upon the leadership we will offer, they will.
Okay.
Because it's about Ghana. It's about their children. It's about their grandchildren. It's not about them.
Why would they let him succeed? What will become of them to come into power? Because they are all interested in winning power.
Interested in winning power that for yourself and not for the people will not take you anywhere. We've gone through cycles. You know, over the many years, when Rawlings came into power in 1992 up to 1998, thereabout, he said he was laying the economic foundation for growth. When Kufuor took over, he said he was laying the foundation, economic foundation for growth. After Mills came, he said he was laying the foundation for growth.
So
and then John Mahama.
presidents so far, and they've all been laying foundation.
They have all been laying, including Nana, they've been laying foundation. You know why, Nanaya? Because there is no national vision driving us. So everybody is laying a foundation. But if there is a national vision owned by everybody, Dubai is where it is. It used to be a desert. You know what has made Dubai possible? It's a national vision. Without vision, the people go through cycles.
Because their system of leadership also helped. Because remember, the Dubai is headed by sheikhs or amirs.
Yes.
And so they are more like a theocratic state, sort of.
Yeah.
Not a democracy like we have.
Yes. But you see, it's also leadership driven, leadership focused, people-centered leadership.
Okay.
It's about the people. You see, you have no business being in leadership if people will not get better.
Thank you. Beto aso mami ncheche mu nkakra mpacho yeguso ene Bishop Dr. Samuel Noy Mensah na ye bonkomo oka Alliance for Revolutionary Change na woda na die eye enra na nene nansa no enene nansa okuada no ehom na ye bonkomo no edru se parliament ya ewo hoyi se ye de no ye mfanto ho a ARC fo ya mo bei monu ni amanyuko enti se oka se oye benam parliament so ne ahyehyɛ mra ebetimi aye nhye ame nyina ye nya development plan a ebeka se we de omanfo ni nyina de a ebeye den fi se MPP NDC fo no na wo no waka se memfo aso mo be ndɛ no si ensese parliament wo se wo ho ma na manyuko na mom no esese owo ho se wo ho ma oman no na de ehunu ye se parliament wo ho a wo mo wo ho se omo no ye members no mrashe yefifo no wo ho ma wo mo party enso ensese ebanesa enti wonu mu be hye wo mu enkran se ARC no nyakwan ba na ama parliament aye na dwuma se awesome oman enye se awesome amanyuko eno se president ni so wotumi pa se obetumi de nsesa ye ne nhyehyeye ne mra no bi aba enam se eni awagbo asem so ende ye no kre amamre ye kura ye yi president tumi no do so pa nimdifo ne akrachefo nda bia ka ho asem se amamra no ama president no power dodo enti nipa amode ne beko no afi obeko akoduru ye hu bi pen obi e ba me ba mesesa no beduro no hu se tumi e da onpeso obesesa no bi no si da bi eno so na ejina nipa kura ya na ode no kono so ejina nipa ni su ne ban ne ye eso na nipa ni bi ono mu a woni su no wanya ban enti wo be president na asa na ebe hu ne character no eno na ye hu eno se yamamra no ye how kese pa wo Ghana no yamamra no evisa amamra na ankasa no wo susu ti se de ase de wo be di ade no jama ni papa bia ni timu ye wo akoma pa odwin wo bia ho wo mepehwe enti kese nice person na ebe wanwe hu se oye nipa na ebedi ade no ebeduru ba bi no tumi be ye ne de ebeduru ba bi wo no so be page apade ebeduru ba bi wo be ye fomfa ebeduru ba bi no wo be sesa wanwe hu sa enti ye how pa ya amamra no ahayen na said ya weekend ya ni amamra no besesa no say eno de alaji gruta brof dole ye besesa no ye de ensa beka no ye be ensesa kakra wo amamra ni mu na said ye ase ti obi di nkunim ni wo be ye mampani ani na chese Kofi Istanbul ne buadwe ba wasesa power ni nyina de am kan se winner takes ono wono nko a na ekọ no wo ba no agye afa ye bia nkana sem ye mone chem so efisa dan a constitution ama me power eno a na me de eye adwon se sa ne ma ni nyina betumi asesa na sese enya opani a obe mampani a owo ani suade hunu obetumi aye adwuma ne nso na wo wa ahofama wo pepa no nso se me pese me di nkrofo yanim na nya se wono ne ho nko a na wo dwene na mebisa ni si obi se mbeda ni NDPC aka bom no si NDPC adwuma no omo ye nya se e be yesi nchen ye meka no a ya wunya ante mase no eni se ye frefre wo bia munyina mumra mumfa munsusu ye no madwemra ne ya ka bom tie basa ye Ghana fo no dia nti se Ghana ni bi somu a onim se minsusu ye ka ho madwenkyere ka ho na mse die hodada no se nya foforo bia enye se obi ane na adwenko ewom se NDC na ye de ana MPP na ye de na nso no wo frɛ wo mo ma no bi mu ye a from stakeholders no jejeje stakeholders is wo be no wofre bi mu kakra bi na akwaya omo nso ani so ade hunu enti niema NDC gitum wono nko an wo de course a NDPC for plan mu de MPP so gitum nko a enti omo ni NDC ani so ade hunu nko na omo ni MPP ani so ade hunu nko no omo no omo so ye na wo he yato enu agu ana esese ye de enu nso ebehye bi na enu nso atumi aye adwuma na aboa na yempanimfo no a wo mo aba mpani a yenya wo mo no ene obobodi na frijeje so aba bepem sa bresi obi aba me to fapem ya wa nso o ma to fapem bi enti efiri emfie be sa aduasan ya beda bi e to fapem efiri se yenyina yenni kuku baako ngoma baako aye ni so ade hunu no wom se oman se ha ne ani chenti we ba nkankan jaye na ode ne sabe so ma no aye kakra me to fapem na ojan ho we nso aba nkankan jaye na ode ne sabe so ma nkankan jaye ni chese ode ne saka aka we bia no wajan ho na ofoforo nso aba na obi ye ne de saa ye ni ani so ade hunu baako no entia na se ye nya ani so ade hunu baako a de wo kan wo se ne ye no enye den kura na empanie di ehwammo womu ba wasi o mi beye ni ye mi beye se wasi wo panti ya ni papa mu na tete ya no yeti we nam se eni enya kro se me fa me sanwo wani ansa so brache ansa no hu se enye o se wo de hu se enya ya enye Bishop, how are you going to convince first place charity begins at home members of Full Gospel Church International when you know that there are NDC members there are MPP, there are CPP, there are PNC, and will they not be disappointed that, hey, our bishop is now becoming a politician?
First of all, again, I will let them know that, listen, this is not about partisan politics. I will ask them a question. If you are satisfied with the state of Ghana, then continue with what you are doing. If you are happy that our hospitals, Kolebu is in a dilapidated condition and state, you know, where our pregnant mothers are being given birth to the next generation of leaders on the floor, then continue with what you are doing. If you are happy that we have 5,400 schools under trees in this Fourth Republic, 67 years of our independence, if you are not happy about it, then look for a change. If you are not happy, you know, that we are into economic mess for the next number of years, or 20, we are told about 15, 20 years, we will be in this economic challenging situation. If you are not happy about it, then look for change. Okay. If you are not happy about the fact that, you know, you can't get quality health care. Now, the point, when Biden is sick, he doesn't go to Germany for health care. You know, when Sunak in UK is sick, he wouldn't go to Italy for health care. Why is it that when our leaders are sick, they run out of this country? Because they haven't equipped our hospitals and raised the standard. So if you are not happy about the state of our health issues, then look for a change. Okay, so you talk about the economic mess we are in, meaning you know the situation that we are in as a country. By you, I mean the ARC as a group, and you are giving all these lofty ideas. People say it's easier said than done, and indeed over the years, presidents that have come have proven that were true. Because we've heard president of God say, when I come, I'll do this, methodo, may a day, then they come, they're like, sorry, I didn't know this is the situation. Yeah. So all that I promised you, you need to give me time. Tighten your belt, let's bite the bullet together, and all sort of phrases. So these lofty ideas, and then knowing the economic crisis we are in, how are we, or you, ARC, going to achieve? It would depend upon the quality leadership that the ARC is determined to bring. For example, if you are already in the deep hole or you are drowning, first of all, you need someone to rescue you. You can't be the person who is getting drowned and you are promising that, oh, I'm going to get you a house, I'm going to get you a good school. Already you are drowning. Your starting point is to be rescued first. And then when you are rescued, then you will know exactly what you need to do. We are in a deep mess. Okay. So it is not a question of promising that Ghana can become better, Ghana would become a developed nation in 4 years. It's not going to work.
Okay.
Anyone who
so
will
that's
take
not
over,
what you're promising.
no,
Ghanaians.
that is not going to be possible
But
in
we're
4
not
years.
hearing of that. Well,
Because the kind of leadership, this alliance was just formed just this week.
Last
We
Wednesday.
consolidated it.
Okay.
So it's going to trumpet a message of new leadership, of visionary leadership that would make people accountable. A kind of a transformational policies that it will introduce. Policies that will transform people, policies that will improve the lives of the people, which is built upon the great transformational, plan. And then also to make the private sector the engine of growth, and to ensure that private sector would definitely drive the economy. And then also build, the number 4, to build one Ghana, move away from the duopoly. Okay, so that is what the ARC hopes to achieve, and make people the center of policy and development. We are told that 73% of the population are below age 35. It's a youthful state, and about 50% are women. So make sure that policies and programs will improve and empower our women and our youth.
Okay.
Not only that, but also now to ensure this revolutionary mindset transformation, without which we are not going anywhere.
The idea of revolutionary, because we know what revolution has done to us as a state. So maybe you people need to come clear about this revolution that you are preaching.
It's about attitudinal change, mindset, change of mind.
So
it's on record. I have said that many years. Attitude revolution, mindset revolution.
Okay.
What we need is not a new system to reprogram our thinking, make us the kind of Ghanaian we want to be, and patriotic citizens.
And I'm still fascinated about this, because telling somebody to change their attitude, I mean, it's just advocacy or education. You like we say, you can't, you can force the horse to the riverside, but you can't force it to drink. So you can't force it on the people that if you don't change, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to whip you, I'm just imagining how this attitudinal revolution will be achieved, because you are dealing with people can be recalcitrant, So
Absolutely.
if the people decide to rebel or to be recalcitrant, how are you going to achieve this?
First of all, if we are able to develop this socio-cultural transformation attitudinal plan, and it is put in the blueprint, in the workable document, get all religious leaders together. Tell them this is the kind of attitude change we want to see.
Okay.
So hold it up, take it to your pulpit. Once every Sunday, begin to preach on these values of the kind of Ghana we want to see. Then bring all the traditional leaders, National House of Chiefs, that look, you were part of the development of this attitudinal change document. Now take it every year, divide it into phases. The first year, these are the things we will all want to drive. So whilst the churches are driving that, traditional leaders are driving that, then you bring all the educational sector, together. And then you tell them, now this is how we are going to get these things done. First of all, we'll start from caging. Okay. And then we work towards that. So whilst we are doing it in caging, in the primary schools, the teachers are teaching it, because they will be part of that transformational document of attitudinal change. Okay. So you see, in all sectors, then we move on to trade union.
So you're going to go the Singaporean way?
Yes, you are going to involve people, because if attitude has to be transformed, it must be 360. Everybody must be part of it, but it will take intentional, willful, deliberate, visionary leadership to drive that.
I see. What's your role in this ARC?
My role as a founding member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change.
Okay.
So I'm a founding member, because I belong to Ghana First. Ghana First, I'm the founder of Ghana First Coalition.
Okay.
And Ghana First Coalition constitutes various CSOs that came together and supported this alliance movement. Okay. And so that was the role I played as Ghana First. Okay. So my role is a member of the Ghana First is a founding member of the alliance, just like National Interest Movement under the leadership of Dr. Abu Sakara. So that is the role that I have played in terms of working towards the revolutionary transformation change.
Okay, so in that case, how many groups came together to form this ARC?
I think so far we have about 8, and so far we have the Movement for Change under Alan Martin, the National Interest Movement under Dr. Abu Sakara, the Ghana First Coalition, that is my good self, Union Government, Mr. Kwesi Odike, and then the Ghana National Party, Mr. Sam Ofori Ampofu. We have also the Ghana Green Party, Reverend Stephen Ayensu, and the National Second Vice Chairman, Mr. Henry Asante of the PNC, and then the Third Force Movement, Mr. Yao, and then also we have the non-aligned voters of Ghana, Mr. Kofi Benny Bendo. You know, so these are the 8 people, the 8 various groups of the 9 various groups that constituted the founding members of the ARC.
So is it about the leaders or it's the entire group?
It is their group. You may probably not have everybody 100% who may probably support it, but it's just like the way we see when someone introduced an idea, people are not too sure whether it will work or not. So some will let's watch, and when the vehicle takes off, we may probably join the train. So others will probably join when they begin to see that, oh, the thing is working. I think the thing would work. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so I'll come back to find out about the MOU you signed and how you're going to campaign. Are you going to be on campaign platforms and all that? But first, let me go back to my viewers and just give it back to them what we've been discussing. Enti arefo ye Bishop Egusuana me bisa Bishop say wo mu beye den a ka kire Ghana for obe convincing the members and they convincing China Irame brofo amiri die obe convincing the members if you say na sorry ma omu okuhudo obi a obabi oto na bako na won behwa mu si na de papa ya manwini obe de no si o enye den kra obe mo mate ase se ye Ghana nti na enye political party asem wade kan ache mu se politics wo na so bibi so a friend say partisan politics na ne de no enye partisan politics ni bia nti obeka akire o mu se nia ekoso o man ni mu no wani nye ho na enye wo de na enye wo fedia ene na se ofu ane so na hwehwe ensesan wo se wo hwe na wo kokolebu na afi da chinchirima na yenya mpa na ketempo enwo wo mu ntoso no wo mu gugugugu fomi na wo hwe se emfi aduosia ni akire ni aga na enya fa hodie na ahia schools be se empim num ni ahenan nkodani ni school da wo timi ase ene ekosuku ene niam etete sa wo hwe no wani nye ho dia ene no watena se se wo pensesaye de ama ekua Ghana ene wo se mima fanto wo se wo ko America mamu a wo mama mpani wo se abadi wo yare ase wo nko Germany wakoja yare sa ena se wo ko ye ohini kuromu a wo mu prime minister Mankrado no ebichisu na te wo yare a won ko Italy nkoja yare nanso ye die won hu se wo mu yare a na tipa wo mama mo so eche so mo nim se nyoma ya maye wa ha no enye papa bia enti se woni nye ho saade a eche se wo tena se wogina ho mansesan yepa enu entia na medwenwa ne kasa ne nyina ye attitudinal change se nipa no ye besesan ya adwen ye besesan ye nsu ye besesan ye ne ye nam se wosofu asem ne de saade waka ne ye papa kama na wo kika no na wanso wo kan waka se ne esika samunye no waka no so na nti munim ni ayewom si esika samunye na nso beka asem ne de afa mu beba bewies na minimo no se ya eno de ye no kre na nso ni nyina begina ye kandifo no eso ade ba ko ne se wo nsuo de wo ko nsuo fawa enye bre nsuo fawo no na wo ye wo de munya mi besi dan munya mi baya mi be kuru mi dan ne so mi be yese dabi sa bre no wano demu a wo bobna se wo bi meyi mi mumu a mi peja mi free nsuo yi mu enti no se de nsuo de ne kono won hyebo na emom no wo hwe se ye be yi na free mu na ye yi ni wi afei na nanka de opese wo ye no watumi ayo enti ye ba anya se ye ba ya ne ye be keka nsama kese ye nim ni ayewo mu nti ye be ka se yesere mu ada yesre mu adasa na me ka say ade yi so mu onfie nan na se ne awo keka koyi die enfie nan nyina na yete ane yetwan mu na mu gusu amosre yen eno se ya policies a yede beba no enhyehyeye no a yede beba no ye enhyehyeye a ede ensesaye ebeba yenye se yeda ne akosore ne yebeka bibi na emom anisuade hunu no a yede aba no se yebehwe se ankrankra nyuma bepeja se yebehwe se Ghana betumpon ni nyina fa omanfo ne ho se wodwen omanfo ne ho na wo ya ade ama wo mo a omanfo na ankasa nso so mu na wonum te wase na wobubu nkonta kyerɛkyerɛ yɛse enipa dudu ose wo ya mamu mu ye mabunu dudu ose isu ye ma kyerɛ wo se oman ni mu nipa dudu na ye mabunu ti se ye mabunu dia ɛsɛ adwen wo mo ho ɛne wonum daachi ɛnam sin revolution no dia mu kan ya na yempese bete kra ɛno so o David ya revolution we ya kan ya adwen mu hye wo ne adwen mu nkanya any ensusu any ya yepese esesa na mse ha eno so aka asem chese wo pese obi sisa ne suba wo pese obi sisa ne ya enya nhye won se obi tumutu obi fo kan se waka pa mate so memfa ti won sa enti wo be kan asem na se nipa no ansesa sa no na wo ye ne den eno se ya eno na ya na munyante yase papa no de ye nyina ye se enye nko an ye betena ho aye enti se agidi kuo sa asori o se muslimu oni afrem panimfo no hwe dia ne nsesa ya mo hwehwe no yen so sei ni ye hwehwe fa wadwen bra me fa madwen bra na nanom we nsesa ye ben na mo hwehwe yen so sei ni ye hwehwe na wonu maka bom ti omo ni omo ye na akire na adwen so fa kire na adwen mama kire na adwen enti obi ade ne dia ba be ka ho ti odi aka ho ne dia sa kire usan de man say yo di odi ba ne dia gu ngoma so enti anankrata so enti san kona kobo ho dawura wonim se de obebo dawuro no amanafa eno se ye di wo mo kira de no school institutions ni nyina om so be ba na mse ene ya tilin kwanyu ni se de o ye Singapore enu bi na mu ko enu o se ade no de eye animu asem se esese ye mo manfo no te ase sense sa ye beba na gina yeso ensesa ye be free yeso aba yen ya dwen ene ye nsusu ye no ne ye ka bom nye se bibi foforo bia na mom ne ye nya wo bia wo achie na se mo be da afra wo bia sa ebi mo afra no so ye be hwe se dodo no a beti ase se nipa dodo no te wase a ade bi sa no wo ya wo mre ho kra Mr. Okafe ye mra alliance ne so Alliance for Revolutionary Change ARC no so na so die wo mu pa ne se no so me wo ku a ye frɛ no se ye Ghana First ni wo ku a ye frɛ no se Ghana First na sa Ghana First no wo kai sa ansana Alan Movement for Change ne beba no no si CSOs bi yetima mu man ku e wo man mu Shaban se nya ne dia ye kuaku ahodo ye nyina ye ka bomu ne ye kan se woni so ade unu na efe ye fo awo enti sa ku na bi na me yo kandifo a ye hu se eyema yen se ye benya nsesan ye bi se to sure Dr. Abu Sakara so no so free ku e friend se national interest movement is for eho ene ye wo owura odike ena wo bobo akandifo ni bi nipa ba se nwotwe na msinti we no nipa no omudi animu no a anaza muni mu kuoma ni nyina na mo bei no si se nya edi a kuoma ni nyina ka ho na unim se ebia na nye obi a na beti ase enti akandifo no ene omu kuoma no mo beti ase ni nyina ene aka boma ya yesa ARC no enti si ano asemusa ne se na anu no a enene nansa omudi omunsa ekwohye enti ase apamase no edi apotina na ewo sa entiase apam no emu.
Thank you very much. Under the ARC, it will constitute actually what they want to do is number one to end the duopoly, of these political parties, and then number two to establish a government of national unity, where it's not a question of I belong to party A, I belong to party B, and then number three to ensure a platform for more force of constitutional reform, where there will be the need for constitutional reform, and then also to the next important thing, which will be the fourth one, is to provide this national development plan that we are talking about that will provide us leadership. And then number five, to ensure this attitudinal change. So under the MOU, these are the things that we hope under the MOU we can achieve. The attitudinal change we are looking for, a manifesto that will be the national vision that will drive the country, a constitutional reform, a government of national unity that will end the winner takes all, and then to the dominant, duopoly of politics that, to the extent that it has affected all professionals, can definitely end. This is the outcome of the MOU.
Okay, so after the MOU, what's next?
After the MOU, the ARC will definitely constitute into a campaign team, under what they call the National Steering Committee.
Okay.
So once the steering committee, they will take up policies and strategic decisions. Then they will have a campaign team that will begin to seek getting in touch with the people on the street, making sure that they are talking to various market women to trumpet the message of transformation, the message of leadership empowerment, the message of bringing hope to the people. And then also they will visit the various religious organizations, churches and mosques, to bring to them that, look, this is what can bring our country together and transform our country. Okay. So that is the system. So that means
now that you've signed the MOU, next thing is campaign.
The next thing is having the steering committee.
Okay.
Then they will have a department for the campaign team. Okay. And they will run the affairs.
Are you going to be part of the campaign team?
Looking, first of all, see, when you have asked me a great and a hard question, the point is that, one, I'm first of all a pastor.
Okay.
And so I definitely I am supporting the whole concept, but there will be a team that will form the campaign team, and they will go around and campaign. Okay. And so that is what we will give them. I will give them that space and that respect to do that.
Okay.
And I will provide any support, any ideas for that.
Why are you withdrawing?
When we get there, we'll see exactly what kind of role I will play when we get there.
But maybe somebody will be interested because of hearing you today and would love to see you more. Oh, I've seen this pastor on this platform and he's campaigning, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, you also will have your own cloud. You have your clouds and have the crowd that you will pull. So do you have to think twice?
I will have to wait on that one. I would wait when we get there. Then I will know exactly the kind of role I, as an individual,
will play.
Yes.
But
yes.
If they tell you to be on the campaign platform, will you be?
We will decide that.
What are you scared of?
No, the point is that I am a unifier.
Okay.
Okay. If you have a constituency of a faith-based organization, the church you lead, you are a unifier. And so I've been trumpeting attitudinal change. I've been trumpeting a movement for alternative movement to bring the nation and to bring leadership to our country. And that is what we are going to campaign for. We are going to encourage people, and we are going to encourage people. Let's all work together to see the change we desire, to have.
Okay, our time is almost up, so let me summarize this and then I'll take your last word. Nti pacho mi busa ne se nti ase apam na na no nom de omunsa hyase nene na nsa no edie potin na ewomuo eno se kese pe edie animu no se NDC MPP no wo mu ebebubu sa ade no goso na ahotaba na afei nso wonom omububu na na omai se wo mu aka Ghana for abom nti national unity bi enso ebeba afei wo mu san hwe kwan se yebenya asesan wo ya mamra no emu na afei yebenya enisuade hunu a yede tumpon international development plan so beba na wo mu bota yekese pa nso edisa nkabom ni empuntuo no beba no yese ebesesa yensu ni eban ene ye no attitudinal change no ni nyina ewo santi ase apam no a wonum de wonum sa hyase nene na nsa no ase na am see you nti mawie ni sei no enu achidie na aka no si sesi ano de aka ne se yo mo ba beti de France National Steering Committee na fe wonum ate wo maye campaign no anaso wo ate campaign team no a wo mbekọ na wo mo akọ entoa no na wo se wo mo be maye wo mo nsem ahodo nti wo mbekọ agidi kuo mu sorry mosque na wo makọ nananom ho eni ade na mbusa ne se na wo begina platform so a campaign hono de o say we bisa asempa ndi be ye de nam say adan be man sin so man san no ham so for pani usuro de o say onye say misro bibia mu say me no me ye pani a me di do mani me kanipa bom inti no say me ni ye ni me bibia kire sa nam say ni ade de wonya do sa to abrewa aduane inti wo be campaign na wo fro nye campaign no oh eno de wo de ye nya ya ansa na ye me kwa ye kwotena asie ya wo mo beti committee fo no mo ti wo mo a eno mo be kire mo be bonto an na msi o mate ase na emom se wo kasai wo bi ate o se osofo pa nti ebe obi fe se sofo na ye campaign wa kase sofo yinti ene metuma ba ma ARC o se ya wo de ho no de twen kakra ansa ho no so menti ase kra sa twen na o se me twen. Okay, Bishop, it's been a great talk, but before I let you sum up, going forward, do you really foresee ARC making any change? Because people have said that this is Ghana, and you know, you have been speaking about the over 30 years, this Fourth Republic duopoly, that Ghanaians don't really have faith in independent candidates or smaller parties, as we say. How much more this movement of a thing that you are now preaching? Because now we know that it is not a party, it's not a political party. Neither is Mr. Chairman saying an independent candidate. You keep telling us it's a movement, it's a movement, it's a movement. It's a new thing for Ghanaians. So if independent candidates and smaller parties couldn't make any impact, how do you think that this movement will make any significant impact in the 2024 elections?
Remember, Nanaya, Alan is an independent candidate. He doesn't represent.
So on the ballot paper,
yes, he's an independent candidate. Yes, he's an independent candidate.
So on paper, he's an independent candidate. But before Ghanaians, he is in a movement with alliance.
That movement, yes, he is in the movement that is projecting an independent candidate. The movement is supporting an independent candidate.
Is the entire thing not confusing?
No, it is not. It is not, because it's a movement in terms of change revolution, and because it is providing that change, Alan is an alliance and it is not a party. Okay, it is an alliance, not a political party. That is why you have an independent candidate in the person of Alan, who is going to provide. So the movement, it is just a vehicle, to provide the change we want to see. And it is using the alliance as the vehicle to bring the change. And for me, it is the resource of bringing change to Ghanaians is actually more important than my individual role. So it's not about what role I will play, whether on the campaign team or not, but the results we want to achieve. And therefore, my guidance is actually to the team is very much more important. The guidance I provide, the contributions I make that will achieve our results is much more important than the role definitely that I'll play. So the movement is a vehicle to bring the change we want and to support an independent candidate.
I see. Would you love to be a minister in this change movement government someday?
Let's wait, and when we get there. But whatever role, I have always even told both NPP and NDC, when Mahama was in office, I told them, when Nana was, look, when I'm called to serve the country, I am ready to serve the country, not a political party. My contributions is about, for the state, I support the red, gold, green color to support Ghana. So I will serve the state in any capacity I'm given opportunity. Okay,
great. Bishop, I'm so grateful talking to you. Maybe there are some few words I didn't allow you or you couldn't have the opportunity to say. Now you can summarize your last
All right. Words. Thank you very much, Nanaya. There is a beautiful story in 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 1 and 2, when David was thrown out of the presidency by Saul. And then this is what he said in verse 1 and 2. He said, David therefore departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So when his brothers and all his father's household heard it, they went down there to him. Verse 2 is a catching phrase. And everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, everyone who was discontented gathered to him, so he became their captain. What I am saying is that Everyone who is in distress.
First
Samuel 22, 1 and 2. Anyone who is in distress in this country, anyone who is in debt and has been affected by the economic crisis, anyone who is discontented about the state of affairs, everyone who is frustrated about the state of our country, everyone who has lost hope in our fourth republic, join this movement of change. Let's rescue Ghana, because Ghana belongs to your children, my children, and the next generation. This time, don't vote for a party, vote for yourself through the vehicle of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, which Alan Chermantin represents as the independent candidate.
Thank you so much, Bishop. We are grateful. Patriotic Bishop Dr. Samuel Noi Mensah ena menina bompunimpu yewie kra no ena na me bisa no last hour say independent candidate fo ehu so party nkuma ehu so no omudie ya say movement to say revolution die omo behu so ade chen December ba e betu no say ya ma menyensie ye movement die na so say da ye betu aba no paper ne so no ubehu Alan Chermantin fonyini na oda so say independent candidate and I'm say we the mama confuse why basa ma confuse o say debi any confusion kra hwew Alan ye independent candidate na wonam yen so nti ye ka ana say de wode fa so ede abone ntoa no ene yesa ARC Alliance for Revolutionary Change no enti monti ase se ubehu Alan wo paper ne so a woda so say independent candidate na mom ye bom to ayi ene ye ton Alan no ye nyina ye hu sa independent candidate no na ni so ade hunu ne ya som ene ya ka say ye tar na chi ama wotumi agina apre na msio okay ene na che say da chi ho be ye nika na wo unya minister da chi bia obedi osie etwunu ho aye mpenedanta nti ya nya abotre na emom me no makada achire mampendada mama makache na nado se bredru so se ye frɛ me se me mesomade nti na me nsom red gold green ani akokosra de no kokko no ene ahaban mo no ne nsoma tuntum na dantem mis gina homa oman Ghana na nyese amanyuko bi nti se ye frɛ me se me mesom nko ade a ede nti na me nsom na mom se si aidie sala di nkunim ona me RC vehicle isu di nkunim a odie eno de menka ase me di bibia na twen ya ansa ti sa okosa no de mintimi hyeda nya no na madana se na mse bia na asem bi ho a wanka eno ose ne ode nyame asem na eja ye ntimo nkokenkan first Samuel nwom edi nkan no eye ti aduonu mienu yi mu ba kokosi mienu wo se David kan asem bi ho eye ohini David a aha wo se de watoba ha de wagija de otete de wosi apene na nani da so asa no omra na obenya ahotonti se wo Ghana watoba ha wotete wani da so asa ase de ye namuyi se economy atete awie se amoakone adui ene ahokyire yi mu na wo pani da so dia ene movement for change no a debi Alliance for Revolutionary Change ARC ya wonum candidate independent candidate no Alan Chermantin ene ese oba na obeto aba Emmanuel eneja madana sia nkomo yesi wo so ene wa yade pa se wate ase ama ye de brofo no afratwi ni se ntansi na eye mieni ka se asofo pani ebeba be ya amanyosem kakra na so wa me ate ase se enye party ana amanyuku amanyosem na emom oman aye chichire ni oman aye yodie se wosofo obamu bia na ensehwe osofo ye ne se me de mama nyuku ni amanyuku de ne bamu a eno se eno de na enhyeda emwa nti ene ye ne osofo pani bompunimpu a aha ena yedi AC mame ena kuyaskis ase ewo matade ya opam emami wani je ho so pese kuyaskis epam bi ma wa friend 020 836 4729 020-836-4729 na owo McCarthy Hill Junction oni JE University no ena edi enimhwe say obetumi follow no Facebook and Instagram Kuyaskis ewo ho sada na utinwe ni so de Z Nails and Beauty the hair mama and na Friday ko grooming kakra kona koye o pedicure no manicure ewo Z Nails we see from pair na wajo cosmetics and so on skin na efe o program bi a wo konso a kente Z nso to aso na wajo kente fefefe na fi wabo ewura ye Z hair no wajo uni so once onya ko Z Nails and Beauty everything beauty no you are sorted. Fair on 055-3837-201 055-3837-201 kaise misi ochina ye ko more good pack akra more good pack fair koso ho na yakọ akọ digwa ye ko batch read unse me catch say diffusers bi aba wo di si ho di super bedroom e ma ho hwehwe hwamo awura ho anu wani age and battery diffusers among from koto bi mu haron for ya na de bi ni ho kina omo wo fe na say P24 ne stand ne number no koho na koto bi why obetimi so afre 054-071-5685 054-071-5685 na omo asort out cry mami emma me mami belated happy birthday said ye be ya me bra Fred na kuma beto ne yem se maye ne mami birthday no amano tie enti belated happy birthday to name my namesake Lydia Nana Ajwa Ochre Madam Lydia Nana Ajwa Ochre na enra eyewawoda ema belated happy birthday woman Bridget ne Bridgetta Emanuela Gloria ene onana okatechie omunyina se grandma nyame onhwa na onma enkwatenten ya ahoden ewom kama pa nti dada o birthday no aton so mu sabre ya me sorry die no birthday give you birthday happy birthday nkoma Mavis appear ura Jeff o Kumasi UTV ni refi afen wakaya wodi aba nti sister odi ejene last hour sa na dada nso say Abigail Jiwonu o Accra Technical University final year student dada wo UTV Emma happy birthday pacho nyame adomu a ajoda ade chensho ma besiaba yakram.
Hey, the future of this country does not lie in NDC. The future of this country does not lie in MPP. As a matter of fact, they are the troublemakers of this nation. The earlier we get rid of the two, the better it is for this nation. For any human being who has reasoning to be able to say, I am going to fight and kill a neighbor, a friend, because of party politics, there's something wrong with that. They will only visit you and come to your funeral when your family is mourning for the rest of their life. They have gone and they are going to chop the nation's money, and you have been foolish enough to kill yourself because of them. May God have mercy on us. We need people, citizens who are thinking about the future of our country, people who are patriotic about this nation, people who want to sacrifice for this nation. So this kind of apathy we also bring to national development is not helping us. Don't be active only during election voting, but be active to make sure that you can contribute to the national development of our nation. We must call for a third force. That is why you should not sit down. I'm praying that God will bring in a mental revolution in this country, a mental change.